2, 1. Please start, sir. We are live.
All right. So,
good evening.
everybody.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Nash 24/7, I welcome you to our public awareness program on Say No to Nash. Nash 24/7 aspires to bring best-in-class education and awareness program to serve healthcare workers, patients, and their caregivers. To speak on the topic today, we have a renowned gastroenterologist, Dr. Binidra Banerjee. He needs no introduction. However, I would fail my duty if I don't mention that he is a leading gastroenterologist from Durgapur, providing comprehensive and compassionate care to many patients for various gastrointestinal and liver conditions. He has over decades of experience building a clinical skill set that allows him to deliver patient-centric care. He is consultant gastroenterologist at IQ City Hospital, Durgapur. We salute, sir, your dedication towards spreading awareness related to liver health and disease. So now I invite Dr. Binidra to enlighten us on the topic.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for your kind introduction. Let us welcome each and every person who are viewing this live telecast. And any sort of questions, any sort of queries at the end of the presentation, may be typed. We will do our best to address the same. So today we are here to speak about one of the fastest growing epidemic in the world, that is obesity, which leads to a broad spectrum of issues, which was previously termed as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now I say previously because recently, a lot of studies have happened, and there was a huge trial. Our own legendary Dr. Abhijit Chaudhary, Professor Abhijit has also been part of it. So now, because of the stigmata of the words like fatty, alcohol, right now what people are proposing is a new group of terminologies, which is like metabolic dysfunction associated liver disease, and the most accepted and the right now the recommended term is known as steato liver disease or steatotic liver disease, because the underlying pathology will be steatosis of the liver structure because of deposition of fats. So coming back to the terminology which was used widespreadly till now, which is still being used now, that is your non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So it was launched in the year, this basically Nash Day was launched in 2018, and then various people have supported it time and again. Now, basically what happens is liver enjoys one of the large blood supply in the body, also is the second or third most largest organ in the body after the GI tract and the skin, I guess. So what happens here is, due to deposition of the fat, the liver starts losing its function. And then that leads to a constellation of changes within the liver, which is first stage, second stage, third stage hypothesis. We will come to the subsequent sites. So they all totally combinedly form a spectrum of diseases, which leads to malabsorption, which leads to indigestion, which leads to acidity, and so on and so forth. And then in future, it can progress. So something which is your non-alcoholic, just a fat deposition today, can in future progress to something which is known as your steatosis. And that, with the third hit hypothesis, can progress into something known as inflammation. Inflammation in due course of time, you can lead to cirrhosis. And once the liver is cirrhosed, around 10 to 7.5% of unfortunate populations can actually develop into cancer also. So this growing and endemic or pandemic, whatever terminology we use, actually has got a lot of concerns. So in this slide, we see what are the functions of the liver. So as we can see, some of the, in addition to metabolism and all, it also synthesizes all the proteins, and it also causes detoxification of the body. In whatever foreign particles we are ingesting, including our medicines and drugs and all, they're all supposed to be detoxified. So it is not just when the liver stops working, we are getting features of indigestion or malabsorption and so on and forth, but also it is increasing the oxygen-free radicals in the body. And that itself accumulates over the time because a plethora of symptoms of the patient. Now, in the next slide, if we can have the graph. So here, first let us address that who is to be termed as a non-alcoholic. So after all the consciences, the easiest way to remember is if a male individual is consuming up to 30 grams of alcohol per day and a female individual is consuming up to 20 grams of alcohol per day, then it is as per statistically assumed that the changes of the liver cannot be blamed only to alcohol, and that subset of patients or population rather is called as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. If the consumption of alcohol is beyond that, so it will be not termed as non-alcoholic, but then we have other terminologies like ALD and all. So in this discussion, we are addressing the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which, as I have mentioned, due to social stigmata and various causes, has now been replaced into something known as ASLD. So once the total dry weight of liver contains more than 5% of the fat, we will term it as fatty liver disease. Next slide, please. So here we can see almost 25% of the population have these features of NAFLD. Male individuals are more prone for this. Now, this statistic is based on the overall worldwide population, which will have people of various economic class, people in the rural section, people in the areas which requires a lot of physical hard work for living. But strictly speaking, if we are addressing only to the metropolis, only to the, like tier 1, tier 2 cities and so, this number, 1 out of 4 people, is not true. It is rather almost 80 to 83% of the patients which we encounter in a day-to-day are having grade 1 fatty liver disease. Some of them are having more than grade 1. Some of them fibroscan are showing more values. That is okay. But the prevalence in a metro city is almost 80 to 83%. And post this lockdown and all, we have seen the prevalence of fatty liver in the pediatric age group. The kids who sat all the entire day were not able to go out. They were sitting in the house and they were having access to whatever food is there in the fridge and all. The fatty liver incidence among the pediatric age group has alarmingly raised. Previously, out of 10 or 12 kids, we used to have 1 or 2 with more than grade 1. Nowadays, we are seeing almost 6 or 7 of them. Obesity has become more rampant after the lockdown. And this is one stage where we need to understand we need to take care of our metabolism, of our diet, and our weight gain. Next slide, please. So this is what we have discussed, something which looks a healthy liver, brownish. It has a consistency of an eraser, which we use. So in due course, once the fat starts accumulating up to 5%, beyond 5%, we label it as fatty liver disease. The fat keeps on accumulating, and then it starts developing into inflammation. When the inflammation starts, the next stage will be inflammation leading into fibrosis. When fibrosis settles for over a time period, then it leads to cirrhosis. Now, let us be aware that this fibrosis, after some times, and especially cirrhosis, are irreversible damage. So our target will be to identify fatty liver and introduce lifestyle, introduce diet, and if required, introduce pharmacological intervention to prevent the development of fibrosis. Once fibrosis has been advanced, to prevent it from developing cirrhosis is very difficult. And a cirrhosis liver over due course, as we have told, that 10 to 7.3% of population will develop into cancer also. Even if they don't develop cancer, cirrhosis doesn't have a good prognosis. And of all the organs which are transplanted routinely, like kidney, cornea, bone marrow and all, liver transplant is pretty cumbersome. The cost is still sky high, the pre of evaluation is huge, and post of medication is lifelong, and the patients do land up in trouble. Although it is not a discouraging statement, statistics is improving day by day, but still our target should be to prevent fatty liver from developing into fibrosis and cirrhosis. Next slide, please. Okay. So it is over the same thing. Once the fat has accumulated for a certain quantity over a certain time, inflammation settles in, and this is known as the first hit hypothesis. that is from the fat, it is getting into inflammation. The second hit will be inflammation getting into fibrosis. And the third is fibrosis getting into cirrhosis. And we don't want people to come with fibrosis. We want people to be identified with fat and then to get it reversed into a normal healthy liver. Next slide, please. So all the causes, of course, genetics do play a role, but sometimes I see patients coming to me and they say, my parents are also fat and everybody in our family is fat. Then I said that is not an excuse. If it is purely due to some normal variation, then your blood reports will not be altered and your radiological test will not be altered and neither you will be symptomatic. So just because everybody in the family is fat doesn't mean that you will ignore your obesity. Then the food intake. Nowadays, wherever we go, we have access to almost each and every type of food. We are following the Western culture. Now, our BMI, our body framework, our genetical structure, metabolism, our weather doesn't collide with those of the Western counterparts. But if we are adapting more and more of high calorie diets, diets with more of saturated fats, then this incidence will keep rising and it will be more difficult to control. So I think this is one place where parents have a good role to play because we feel that my child is very thin, hardly eating anything, always nagging. So whatever he or she is asking, let us give. We are encouraging all the junk foods, all the fast foods. This is going on in the school days. And when they go to college, there is nobody to monitor them because they are staying away from the house. And then they have access to all the foods. And once they actually become, grade 2 fatty liver, they are into their job, they have a family, they will be married. Now their compulsions are so much that they are not in a position to undergo regular physical exercise at all. So right at the young age, please encourage your kids to have more fruits, to have more vegetables, and to don the curve, to don the high calories and all. Because now my baby is thin, let them take whatever they want. It is okay. But once they become fat, it is difficult to make them realize and understand. And we have seen the obesity among kids are increasing. And parents have a role here to encourage healthy diets. Next slide, please. So what we have seen, sedentary activities and all nowadays, this OTT over-the-counter entertainment is available. Your social media itself will keep people glued for hours after hours. So please encourage people to go out. It may not be necessarily some high-end gyms to work out Instagram six-pack abs and all, but some basic workout spread across like morning and evening actually is going to make a lot of difference. If that is encouraged to all the children, then when they become young adults, like college goers or newly job holders, newly married, their metabolism will be at a far better place. And for them to progress into cirrhosis will be much delayed or much less likely than a child who goes to the college with a body weight of say 98 or 100 kilos. After that, after being in the job and all that active family and other social obligations, it is very difficult to bring the BMI down. So young age, they have to be taught, they have to be made aware, and physical activities, it has to be encouraged. Next slide, please. Yes, they all go hand to hand. Basically, that's why this non-alcoholic is being discouraged nowadays, the term, and metabolic dysfunction associated liver disease and the other terms are coming out. Ultimately, whether you speak of diabetes, you speak of NAFLD, you speak of dyslipidemia, that is more cholesterol and all, they all go in hand to hand. They are all metabolic diseases. Even PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, not very uncommon in the young female populations, are also a part of the metabolic syndrome. So here, your diet, your weight loss, physical activities, they all have a significant role to play. Next slide, please. Okay, so symptom can be asymptomatic. Like sometimes patient say that I don't have any problem. They do the test for some other reasons. Like say they have a cellulitis and all something, or they have some small minor operations, and during workup they find out that they have got a deranged liver enzymes, or a physiological signs are showing fatty liver, or they can have some very common problems like dyspepsia, flatulence, acidity, some non-specific vague type of pain, abdomen, some altered bowels. From there, it can be pretty serious problems also, like severe abdominal pain. They go for so much of malabsorption, indigestion, and all. So the clinical features of fatty liver, unfortunately, is pretty vague, pretty non-specific. There's nothing that if you have this particular problem, you are bound to have fatty liver, because it's a metabolic disease. It develops during childhood and it proceeds very gradually, progresses. So most of the people are not even aware. They feel that they have some problem of acidity, some gastritis and all, and in workup it is found. Next slide, please. So how to do the diagnosis? Nowadays, we have very easy access to labs, where usually the liver enzymes, mainly SGOT, SGPT, or better term is the AST, ALT, will be raised. If your SGPT is more than SGOT, then it is usually due to the fat accumulation. If the reverse starts happening, which is actually an ominous sign, that SGOT is becoming more than SGPT, that means from this stage of your inflammation, fat accumulation to inflammation, now it is going towards fibrosis. And that is the stage where people need to very aggressively take care of their metabolism, to take care of their BMI, the weight gain, and their diet. And of course, medicine is required. Now, radiologically, nowadays, access to fibroscan, elastography is increasing, even in tier 3 cities. I think most of the corporate hospitals are providing. Some of the companies have also come up, fortunately, with fibroscan and in the small centers. I think standardization of that is required. The reporting and all needs further improvement, of course, but people have access to fibroscan elastography nowadays. Then biopsy, yes, if although biopsy is not a diagnostic criteria for Nash, I mean for NAFLD, but to pick up Nash and to pick up further damage, biopsies may be needed from time to time. And yes, more and more centers have started liver biopsies. More and more advancement in intervention radiology has made this process less cumbersome, and pathologists are reporting it more frequently than what they used to do previously. So standardization of reporting has also improved. And yes, if you want to say what is the gold standard, it is definitely MRI. But then is it a first test of choice or the choice for screening? Then no. Again, accessibility, cost, and other complications are there. But overall, we have a plethora of investigations, like your blood test of your liver enzymes, in your physiological changes, and biopsy. They are all available nowadays, and they can predict the extent of damage with pretty good accuracy. Next slide, please. So as we were discussing, that persistently raised SGPT cannot be ignored. But sometimes patients say that, no, I had 2 or 3 marriage houses, I have taken a lot of sweets, so my liver enzymes have gone up. Then don't worry, I don't need medicines for it. I will do it. Next time, doctor, when I come, you will see my weight has lost. Then after 2 or 3 months, they are not to be seen. And then suddenly after 1 year or 1.5 years, I find them in my OPD with grade 2 or grade 3 fatty liver, and SGPT or ALT might have gone up to 100, 90, something like that. And then they want all the medicines and all. And this is very unfortunate that for most of the young patients, whenever we speak of diet, we speak of exercise, lifestyle modification. They just say that I can't do all that. I am a young boy who has gone to a city for work. I stay in the mess or in a hostel. I don't have access to the food which you are telling me to eat. So you just give me some medicines and let me walk away. So the whole idea of understanding is that this is a metabolic disease, and it needs 90% effort from the patient side, and rest 10% pharmacological intervention is from our side. It only can prevent development of inflammation into your fibrosis. And of course, blood test medicines do have a role, but patients should be counseled. Patients should be made to understand that their effort is needed from their side. Even if it means losing a patient, that is fine. But as a doctor, as a healthcare worker, one should not leave any stone unturned to counsel and to convince the patient that medicines are only 10% of the total support, which actually is going to help you. Okay, next slide, please. There are various scoring systems. One is the FIB4, and then one is the NAFLD, fibrosis scores. Nowadays, there are a lot of software available. I think Medscape has got some of the good calculators, including then some other apps are also coming in the smartphones, where all you have to do is just look at the patient's blood report, put this data, and report comes, and this can be correlated with pretty good accuracy with the actual biopsy reports. So these are non-invasive, which can be done rate routine, which can be done bedside during daily rounds, which can be easily done in the OPD with the patient. And one must be aware of the scoring systems. One must search in the Play Store or your Apple phone, where these calculators are easily available. And if you start using it, then actually what happens when the patient comes for follow-up, then you can always give them a data rather than just giving a vague word that you have fat in your liver, you have this, you have that. You give a specific number. And for the young population, what we were discussing, to give numbers, that today it is 32, tomorrow it is 28, 24, actually it encourages them to adopt more healthy lifestyle. Yes, online tools definitely, but nowadays even offline of these course can easily be made. Okay, next slide, please. So we have discussed all most modalities like ultrasound. The one-time assessment of initial screening is always an ultrasound, obviously, easily available. Doesn't need much of the technical expertise, doesn't need any extra equipment, any extra probe. And people actually get ultrasound done for many reasons. So if you see a report in any tier 3, tier 2, or only over tier 1 cities, 80% will have fatty liver written in the report. Now, problem is that it can detect fat only once the damage is beyond 25%. So by definition, the damage is 5% and more. We have to wait for it to progress a bit more, and then only it can be picked up. And then it is operator dependent also. Like for the same patient, for the same image, somebody can say that it is grade 1 fatty liver. Somebody will ignore it and say it is a normal liver. Grade 2 onwards, there is no dispute, I agree. But then grade 1, then somebody will say mild heterogeneous changes, and somebody will just, not mention the liver scan. Reporting again has to be standardized. So here the role of fibroscan and elastography actually comes. Next slide, please. So what happens in elastography is a one-time event, and then what happens in fibroscan is the average of 10 such readings. Advantage here again, it can pick up the fat in an early stage, and the main thing, it can pick up the extent of fibrosis. Fibroscan also, I think the cost of the machines have come down to almost 2.5 lakhs nowadays. Portability is a huge issue in India because of feature determination and all. That's why portable machines have not been very popular. Fibroscan, fortunately, portable versions are coming up, and more and more people are using it. What we need to do is to have some standardization, like where you put the probe, what are the 10 points which you take, then what are the 10 average readings you take, and all that standardization needs further improvement, so the reports will become more and more reliable. But yes, fibroscan is widely available nowadays, and once your SGPT or ALT is persistently raised, you have features of fatty liver, you are obese, or you have some other risk factors like diabetes, you have high cholesterol, and you have some family history of obesity, then yes, fibroscan, totally painless, with reports, non-invasive, is actually encouraged. Next slide, please. Elastography, as we have seen, almost its younger brother. and this is also available. And I think one advantage is that it is being used more by the radiologist rather than hydroscan. So when a radiologist uses, they actually know where is the right lobe, where is the place where you need to put the probe. And I am getting elastography reports from a few of the good, senior radiologists in places where I practice. And I think reports are pretty acceptable, and reports can be correlated with the patient profile. Next slide, please. MRI, definitely, as we have discussed, it is the gold standard, and it is very sensitive. Even with 1% of fat, it can pick up. And yes, for those awaiting liver transplant and for those who are donating the liver and all, liver test, which is actually must. Not widely available in beyond tier 3 cities. It is true. The machine itself is a huge one. Even if the diagnostic center has money to get it, what I have seen due to logistic issues, they are not able to install the machines. And cost, I think an MRI right now will cost close to around 8 or 9,000 rupees. But then there are government schemes coming up, and then the centers are also providing in a lesser price. I think in the near future it will be replacing this elastography and USG and all, maybe in the near future. We don't know yet. But then definitely sensitivity is the highest. Next slide, please. If nothing works up and we are suspected of developing into cirrhosis, there is persistently raised liver enzymes, raised bilirubin, which cannot be explained otherwise, and some other indications are also there. Yes, liver biopsy, it is not that painful, I can tell you. Intervention radiologists are coming up nowadays. We don't put the puncture needle blindly. We do have a look, and then we select the place, and it will be done under local anesthesia. So if the doctor have decided that it is time for you to get a biopsy done, please don't hesitate. We have seen so many patients, like Nash is a different entity, it is fine. Autoimmune hepatitis and so on, forth suspected of autoimmunity. People have, whenever they have been advised for liver biopsy, they ran away. Then they come with a big bunch of reports, many places, anything, and they say that what is going on, nobody is able to diagnose me. Please tell me what is going on. And if you go through the reports properly, you see that many patients, the consultants have advised for a biopsy, and hearing about a biopsy, patients have ran away. They have taken a second opinion, third opinion, so on and forth. So once, the indications of biopsies are not very fast, they are limited. So once your consultant has advised, please go through it. Nowadays, it is not that cumbersome. It is a simple procedure, OPD-based procedure. Post procedure, maybe some painkillers will be required for a couple of days, and that patient is usually fine. Next slide, please. So early intervention that is what we are telling, that this lockdown have given us a huge number of pediatric patients with this fatty liver, with fat accumulation leading to steatohepatitis and all. So this is where we go. Around 70% of NAFLD today will actually develop isolated fatty liver with some sort of inflammation in future. And 20% of them will actually go to develop Nash. Among those 70% who are developing just some fatty liver with some inflammation can also develop steatosis in future if the cause, like your diet, your body weight or BMI is not improving, then you can end up in Nash. Some orthosis people from Nash can develop into cirrhosis, and around 10 to 7.3, 7.2 will actually develop into cancer. Now let us tell you that this carcinoma, this liver cancer, is actually as bad as cirrhosis itself. People may think that, okay, today I have cirrhosis, fine, I'm going to live, and I don't have cancer, I'm happy. No. Once there is cirrhosis, your quality of life is going to be really, really bad. This is not a heart attack or a stroke that you have a severe pain, you put some stent, and then tomorrow you can walk away, like a normal healthy person. That is not going to happen. Once you have developed cirrhosis, you are going to accumulate fluid in your stomach, fluid in your abdomen, fluid in the feet swelling and all. Then all the nutritional deficiencies will start taking place. Liver will not be able to synthesize the proteins and other things. Then the veins starts engorging, what we call as varices, and then we can start bleeding and all. then you can having certain encephalopathies like altered sensorium and all. Then every time you get admitted in the hospital, treatment will be very costly. Finally, one fine day, they decide you for a liver transplant. And then that workup is also around 1 to 1.5 lakhs in most of the centers. The procedure itself is huge. Post-procedure follow-up and workup, immunosuppressions are actually given lifelong. So cirrhosis, honestly speaking, is actually as bad as liver cancer. So our target should be to prevent NASH, not allow NASH to happen at all, to identify patients on NAFLD and counsel them to reverse the conditions. And once NASH has settled, they need a very strict follow-up, regular medications, diet, and routine, so that cirrhosis is something which should not take place. Next slide, please. So as we have decided, I will discuss once the steatohepatitis, that is stasis of the flow of bile, stasis within the function of the liver, has settled and it has progressed for some times. It is less likely that it is going to be fully reversible. Maybe the biochemical parameters will come down with medication. Radiological features over due course, say 1 year, 2 years will come down. But the quality of life, the power of liver to digest the food particles is less likely to become the same as it was. So we don't want patients in NASH, we want patients in NAFLD, and we want to prevent them from developing into NASH. Next slide, please. So nothing in the world is absolute. Nobody can live without a drop of sweet or a drop of fatty food. But at the same time, whenever we are consuming it, we must understand that we're actually hurting our liver. So let us have a small example. Suppose you have taken a loan for some reasons and it is to be repaid by 18 EMI. So out of those EMI, you are a very good person who have actually paid 12 EMIs and have, 14 EMIs and have missed 4 EMIs. Bank will still consider you as a defaulter. Bank is still going to charge you extra interest for that. So the same thing happens with the body also. Suppose 14 weeks, 14 months, you are a good person. And the 4 months, you had some extra party with your friends, you had some sedentary lifestyle, you had some exams or some job-related stress, making you have a sedentary routine. So what you have to do is to compensate for that. You have to work extra for that. You have to, if you are jogging or running for say 10 minutes for 30 minutes, you have to put some extra effort on the next day when you have a party. So that is how what happens once you miss your EMI, you need to earn more money and pay the bank before the bank starts giving you interest and labeling you as a defaulter. The same thing happens with the liver. If you are diverting from a healthy lifestyle, then you must compensate for it. Otherwise, what happens is it keeps on accumulating. And then once you have, say, 30, 35 or 40 years of age, that time grade 2 fatty liver with elevated ALT or ACPG. And please. Next slide, please.
Sir, you are on mute.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Once it is about touching 20, don't wait for the classical definition of 23 or something. Once your BMI is crossing 20, 21, which will usually happen at the age of 18 years, 20 years like that, that is the time when you need to be conscious, intervene, and adopt the healthy styles. Next slide. So basically, they tell us the same thing, that steatosis, when a percentage of them will develop this inflammation, which is seen as bellowing disease and all during the biopsy reports, and then it develops into inflammation and finally fibrosis. So that top of the pyramid in red is not at all recommended. One in the maroon this B place, we should put a cutoff. And the requirement is the one in the blue in the base. So always try to be in the base. Next slide, please. Okay, diets and all, I think, if you Google up anywhere, anything, you will know that most of the deep fried items, especially the ones that is prepared in the restaurants and all, because with respect to them, what happens is once they have used that oil for preparing the food, they pour it into some container and keep it for future use. And next time they pour the same oil, they add some new oil to it and they prepare the food. And once the food is prepared, whatever oil is left over, they again pour it back. So what is happening? They are heating the same oil, say 100 times. Nobody is discarding the costly oil. So the food which you are eating outside, it may appear that I have taken just one one egg roll, one French fry or whatever, but that oil might have been used for hundreds of French fries before you. And that is something which people want to be very aware. Whatever food options with searching outside, it should contain as less sweets as possible, and these fried items have to be avoided as much as possible. Go for a lot of fruits, go for vegetables, especially the freshly prepared or the one that is available in the market easily. Not the one which is stored in the, like if you go to some high-end store, high-end shopping complex and all, you will get mangoes even in the off-season at a higher price, of course. So what they do is they store the mangoes in the cold storage and then they, wait for the price to go up, demand to go up. So once you are in the same month of December, you see mango in a store, you will be curious. Okay, I haven't eaten mango for 6 months. Let me have one. That mango was in the cold store for 6 months. And that mango contains much more calorie than the one which you plucked up from the your garden or which you took from the shop also, the vendor, during the season of the mango. So preserved foods, food stored in the cold state for a long time, actually containing much more calorie than the fresh items. So that is what we should target about. And regarding fruits, once you make a juice, it may taste well, but what happens, you are losing all the fibers. You are losing most of the vitamin C also. So it's better to eat the fruits raw rather than, grinding them in the machine and making the juice. Next slide, please. Exercise. In the hospital, avoid the lift, use the staircase. You can, if you are in a multinational company working, you can also do the same thing. Initially, 1 or 2 weeks, you may feel tired, fatigued. You may feel that I'm wasting time getting up to the steps and getting down the steps. My leg is aching, my back is paining. But if you continue to do that, I have seen so many senior consultants using the staircases rather than the lifts. And we used to take inspiration from them during our young stages. So I ask everybody, these are the small things which we can do. Okay, if you are walking from the parking lot to your office, and if it takes, suppose, say 10 minutes, you increase the pace of your walk so that you can reach in 5 minutes. It will save your time. It will help you to burn more calories also. These are the small changes, sometimes which when your maid has not turned up in the house, to help your better half. If you bend down and clean your mop your floor, there is no ego issues in it. But these are the small changes which are actually going to help you to burn a lot of calorie. Take your kids outside to play whenever you are free. You can jog with them, run with them, and then they actually are going to make a lot of differences. Even if you can't hit the gym, say twice a day or something, these small changes actually are going to do a lot of help. If you have access to swimming, nothing can be better than that. If you still not that obese, not that elderly, you can do skipping. Skipping is one thing that doesn't require a lot of infrastructure, a lot of space, and to lift your body, to jump with some space, actually it burns a lot of calories. You can skip 100 times a day, which usually should not take more than 30 seconds. You are actually going to burn a lot of calories. So these are some small changes which we can adopt. Of course, if you have some group, your friends who go for a walk in the evening, and all that are also going to help you out. But at the end of the day, do make sure that you give 1 hour, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening for yourself. Rest 23 hours is for your career, for your family, for everything. Next slide, please. Okay. These are basically the same thing, less sugar, less fats, more exercise, it will be on a check. Right. Next slide, please. So the recommendations here are some of the medications. Now, of all the trials, vitamin E is still given at a dose of 800 milligram per day, actually still holds a very promising result. There are a lot of data, a lot of trials in support of this claim. Then we have this PPAR gamma agonist, which was pioglitazone, and it was used for diabetic patients. It was a lipid-friendly medicine, and then it did have some effect in the anti-mitotic activities, and along with free radical clearances. And nowadays, PPAR gamma plus alpha has come, that is semaglutide. So many companies are coming up. The only challenge with these medicines is they take time for the results to come, which is not going to show you benefits in the blood report or in your clinical profile overnight. So one must be patient and one must be, counseled properly to keep taking these medicines for some times, say 1 year, 2 year duration. Then the benefit starts actually becoming more and more pronounced. So once you are starting the patients on these medicines, do counsel them that don't expect your changes overnight. You keep having your healthy diet, you keep doing some workout, and you keep taking the medicines. Over a span of a few months, the benefits will start showing. This is very important for people to understand. This is not a, because people think that I have high sugar, so they have given some medicine, and by the next month, the sugar level have come down. So why this doctor is not able to bring my SGPT come down? So he must not be the a competent. So you have to counsel them, and then it will start using the results. Next slide, please. Fatty foods, I think we have discussed. Yes, smoking and alcohol, 30 grams or 20 grams, based on male and female per day. Then whatever medicines have been provided to you, don't expect overnight results, but keep taking them for a long time. I insist everybody to have a weighing machine at home. I think not that costly. You can get it at the 700 to 800 rupees also, the pretty reliable ones. And once you stand in that machine, say once every 10 days, you yourself will be motivated. Because I have even that kind of patients who say that, no, my weight is only 60. Your machine is faulty, so it is showing so much high. I have checked it in some other place, it was normal. So when you palpate, then you actually get to the enlarged liver. So you encourage them to have their own machine. And once they stand in that, they themselves will know that something is not right. I need to put more efforts to reduce my weight. And actually that helps a lot. Next slide, please. So there is a support group, which is active 24/7, available in the social media platforms and YouTube. So please don't ignore it, saying that, okay, I have fatty liver, everybody has fatty liver, what is going to happen? Yes, 70% nothing is going to happen, but then if you continue to have all the risk factors, you will end up in NASH. And once in NASH, if not taken proper care, it can develop into cirrhosis. And once an organ is chronically damaged, it is pretty bad. So my request to all, take care of your diet, take care of your weight, and prevent NASH. You get NAFLD and come to us. So thank you so much for the patient hearing. Any doubts, any queries, you can always message us. And I thank the organizers for organizing this. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for this very elaborative talk. Sir, with your permission, there is one question.
Sure, please proceed.
How long the medicines for fatty liver will continue, sir?
As long as there is fat, as long as the lifestyle and diet modifications have not taken up and patient is symptomatic and the blood reports are still showing the enzymes are elevated, your reports are still showing that you have fat, you need to continue. It is nothing like your lifelong continuation. Once the risk factors have been reversed and once the reports have started improving, then it can be safely discontinued. Of course, one needs to keep a monitoring of their body weight and change the blood reports time to time, so once in a span of 1 year, 6 months, something like that.
Sir, the next question is both the parents are having fatty liver for years. Am I
Hmm.
also at risk of developing fatty liver?
Yes, as we have discussed, genetics do play a role, but then it is not the only role. So if somebody is aware that I have a tendency or I have chance of developing obesity in future, then he or she must be more conscious. Like if their friends and all are having two ice creams per week, then he should have one ice cream per week, or better even maybe one per month. And in that way, they can easily avoid it. It's nothing like that. He inevitably it will develop because it is a metabolic disease after all. If your metabolic parameters are maintained with a healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, then your maybe your body weight can be more, but your lab reports and your radiological parameters will come out normal. And we do have patients. In fact, we have lean Nash also. Patients we are not very fat, but they have features of Nash. So one must not be discouraged that everybody in my family is fat, so I should also be fat. Nothing like that. If you maintain a good diet, then in fact, I have seen that diet also runs in family. Like every day night, they are taking one rasgulla, very common in the typical Bengali setup. Every day night, one mishti. So everybody in the family has fatty liver, and you cannot blame the genes for that. It is the diet which is to be blamed for that. So one must identify the factors and be very cautious in their food habits.
Very rightly said, sir. On behalf of Nash 24 into 7, I thank Dr. Binidra for this lively and informative talk. And sir, as you have also emphasized the awareness for liver health and disease, it is also important for people affected by fatty liver to regularly visit the doctor and continue their lifestyle modification along with medications if required. Because with observation of precautions, it is possible to obtain the control of the disease. So stay connected with Nash 24 into 7 on Facebook, YouTube, and take care of yourself and your family members. Once again, I thank you, sir, for your valuable time. Thank you.
Thank you.